Welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. If you are a sports bettor, this is the most important hour of your day because the number one sports consultant in America has brought his national radio show and podcast here to YouTube. So while you're here, go ahead and like and subscribe or download the podcast and listen on your schedule. And now, here is our host, the number one sports consultant in America, ready to make you money this week and every week, the Fat Jack.
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. Halloween weekend. What a great time of year. We're turning the page, heading into November. Of course, the Breeders' Cup's around the corner. College basketball starts next week. My clients and I are dominating the games, betting on sports. Are you ready to win? Go to fatjacksports.com. Sign up today and win this weekend. Let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. Let's get this show underway. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
You know, this is one of the few times of the year where everything is going. We've got World Series going, got Halloween, basketball is in full swing. And we're just a few weeks away from the World Cup. Like, this is gambling heaven right now. And add into the fact that the Breeders' Cup is like 70 miles from my house in a few weeks. I'm geeked. This is my time of year.
It is. It's all going on. There's more ways to make money. I am very, very close to putting together a World Cup package.
Yes.
I have somebody from overseas that has been sending me the league plays or whatever. All I do is check results. I don't know anything about it.
Hey, send those to me because I'm deep.
I definitely will. It's early morning profit too, which is great.
Yes.
You know, this is the first time that the World Cup's been held not during the summer because in Dubai, it's literally, or not Dubai, but Qatar, it's literally 1,000 degrees in the summer. Take Las Vegas and literally 20%. Yeah, it's that way. It is the hottest place I've ever been in the summer. I went in July 2 years ago to Dubai. My wife, menopausal Karen, did not want to go outside during the day, which makes it really difficult to see the sights and scenes when your wife really feels like she's going to melt the minute we walk outside. So, going to take place here at the end of November. I may add that package online. Stay tuned for more at that. But everything, your point's exactly right. Everything is going on. We've got the NBA, which we're into profit in. The football season's off to an incredible start. Basketball is winning. The NBA is college basketball starts this next week. We dominate college basketball, especially the start of the year and normally during the tournament. So add those now if you want to make money. All the packages are listed on the website. You get the same plays no matter what package you sign up for. It's just how long you sign up. You're asking, okay, what about Breeders' Cup? Well, if you sign up for the football and or basketball package, you get the Breeders' Cup for free, like baseball that's on an 18-4 run, creating a ton of profit. You don't pay for the Breeders' Cup stuff. If you just want the Breeders' Cup stuff, go to the website. You'll be able to see here over the next week or so that the Breeders' Cup packages are there. We'll give you win, play, show horse in every race, trifecta, exacta wagering, any other things that I have going. Pass those along to you. Those have been incredibly profitable over the last 10 years or so. We've had a $50,000 week. We had a $30,000 week. This is for a $2, $1 type deal with 10 across on the win, play, show horse. And on down to just a $3,000 or $4,000 profitable weekend regularly. I mean, regularly we turn a lot of profit in that. And those are free. You don't pay for those when you sign up at fatjacksports.com for either the football and or the football and hoops. If you don't want the football and hoops, then just get the Breeders' Cup package, and you can make money doing that as well. Brandon, last week, what are your thoughts? How did it hit you? What do you got going?
I think we are beginning to realize just how much parity is in the NFL, and also when the greats aren't surrounded by good players, that their greatness can't supersede mediocre talent at times. Looking at you, Green Bay, looking at you, Tampa Bay, there's a lot of good teams that are out there, and there's a few great teams, but if you don't have a quarterback who can either transcend the talent or make the talent around them better, it's ugly football.
It's been interesting to see and of course, that is the definition of last week, which was my question. What did we learn last week? What did we see last week? And that is the first thing that jumps off the page is the fact that we have some legendary, generational quarterbacks that are struggling. Struggled last week, struggled the week before. Not all their fault, but then it does show that if you're not taking care of your house from top to bottom, like some of the teams have been doing, taking those ascending moves that have worked. I know that Green Bay's tried that. Tampa, of course, was at the apex a couple years ago, and then they've kind of gone back down. But if you're not Buffalo, if you're not Kansas City, if you're not teams that are building it from the offensive and defensive line up, and you have the quarterback that is one of the best in the league, that it's going to be hard to compete against those that do. We saw Philly come from the outhouse to the penthouse just a few years ago. Now the only undefeated team as of when we're taping this, coming off their bye. So we see other teams doing it. It's not just the same old guard, but yeah, it is a little bit weird to turn on the TV and see Green Bay losing to Washington and Tampa losing to Carolina without a quarterback or their best player, anybody.
And it's even more disturbing to see how. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's maybe been overnight because I've been in the camp saying Brady's been on the downhill side obviously for a while, but it is a sharp drop from where he was even a year ago.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that we saw coming, but they were so good they were able to keep it,
overcome it, right?
Together a little bit longer than maybe most would be able to. And then you have some also surprising teams that are still playing well. We're trying to see how much up the ladder they've gone. Both New York teams, the Jets and the Giants. Where are they?
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you that. It was talking about my last week. Also, it was ridiculous. A couple of the losses that I had last week. Just based on the fact that, a team like Denver, when Russell Wilson was playing, even if he's half speed, I think that game, the Jets lose. I mean, they were outgained by Denver, and Denver just handed the ball off every time. I mean, Denver had more yards than did the Jets. They just turned the ball over in the red zone, got behind, and had to try to open it up late. Things like that. You've got the Giants against Jacksonville. Jacksonville fumbling the ball going into the end zone. Those type of things happen, but I don't know that we should just put the Jets or the Giants in the Super Bowl yet, but they've certainly gone the right direction. But over this next month or so, I think we'll figure out how good they are or they aren't. Some of these teams have really difficult schedules coming up.
Right.
And other ones don't, and so I think, and it's always that case this time of year, even with teams, we saw the Rams last year run through 6 or 7 weeks and then hit a skid. We saw the Arizona start out 7-0 and then hit a skid. So this next month really will kind of determine where the playoffs are going to end up, where teams are going to settle. It's hard to see a world where Buffalo's not the favorite to win the Super Bowl, where Kansas City's not a close second. I think Philly is still, in my opinion, a distant third as far as that goes. And here over the next week or so, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But great time to get signed up. Go to fatjacksports.com. I know a lot of you out there are just getting absolutely hammered. This last week, we talk about public money and where the public has been putting their money. Last week was kind of a mixed bag. We had the public, the most largely wagered public teams were Tampa Bay, that, as we talked about, lost. Kansas City had 71%, they won. The Jets had 71%, they won. Seattle had 78%, they won. Giants had 62%. Baltimore had 65%. The teams with more than 55% of the money this year were on a 15-27 run against the spread.
Almost 2-1. Losing. Yeah,
you want to fade the public.
Yep.
It's been one of those deals where you've wanted to fade the public. That balanced a little bit this week. Night games, this Thursday night game coming up, Monday night, Sunday night, those games still trending under at a big time clip. Now 14-6 to the under. So you're really, there have been some trends. Normally those will even out over the course of the year. So expect a few more overs on those single games Thursday, Sunday, Monday. But so far, just some of the trends that have got people into where they are. The Cowboys 18-6 against the spread since the start of the 21 season. That's really, really good. They take care of business against Detroit. What do you think of Dak Prescott, Brandon? Where's he?
It's hard to tell, mainly because I don't think that he's gotten much of a test. But I mean, he looked good enough in that game the other day. Detroit really had that early season bump. Obviously, the Hard Knocks bump carried over to a lot of the wagering public. But I mean, he's good enough right now. Whether or not they are good enough to win the division, we'll see. But he's I don't think he's any better than what Cooper Rush had given him, except for that one really bad game where he had like 4 turnovers. But I don't know if there's much separation between him and the backup right now.
Not yet. The next month's going to be incredibly interesting in the NFL for sure. Go to fatjacksports.com if you want to win over the next month. Our basketball off to a great start. Football's so far into profit right now that really we're going to keep adding profit over the next couple of months before the bowl season. But if you're on for the year, you're making a ton of money. And really, last week was a good example of the more you get, the more you made. So if you just got football, you made a little bit. If you got football and basketball, you made more. If you're playing the free baseball, you made a lot. If you play the UFC over the last couple of weeks, you're up in that. So the more you play, I always hate it when guys will say, well, I don't like to play baseball. Well, do you like to spend money? Because it doesn't matter how you make it, it's how you spend it.
I will wager on snail races if you're giving them out.
And if you're with me long enough, it's not like this has been a short-term deal. We've been killing the bases for literally 3 months now. So even guys that start, and I always tell people that early, when you get signed up, you get free plays. If you don't want to bet them, don't bet them. Just watch. Now, at this point, I would tell you, bet them. We're running out of days, A, and B, they're making so much money. I mean, we're having just very few losing games. I mean, we're running off about 6 out of every 7 to 7 out of every 8 releases in baseball are winning. And this has been going on for 2.5 months now.
Yep.
So, and they're free, by the way. So I always tell people play a little. But last week, that's what it was. If you just, I only like to play the NFL, Jack. Well, if you like to play just the NFL, then you lost a little bit last week. Well, I just like football, Jack. Well, if you just like football, you made a little bit. Well, I like basketball, but I don't want to mess with baseball. Well, you made more if you do football and basketball. If you send it, I'm going to play it. I'm going to follow your recommended betting guide. If you're that guy, you made a lot of money again last week. So go get signed up, fatjacksports.com, and start winning. Halloween coming up on Monday. Brandon, you going to dress up as anything?
You know, we did a Halloween deal at the Caesars Casino here last year, and it wasn't much of a festive atmosphere. So I don't know if the fact that it's a Monday night this year, I don't feel as if we're probably going to do a whole heck of a lot. We will be the house that has the full size candy bars.
Yeah.
But, I mean, outside of that, I think it's a pretty tame year. We've got another fall wedding coming up here in a few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So, but the good news is it's on a Friday night, so I don't have to worry about all that. But I do got to travel for it. But between that and all the stuff we got coming up in the next few months, we're gonna lay low this weekend, I think.
Yeah, I'm being stifled. I'm not a dresser upper guy. I don't know that I've ever dressed up, but I may have talked about this last week. But the TV show, Beat the Odds, I'm doing. I got an email from the group, and Dave Hall, the host, said, "Hey, I think we should dress up for Halloween." And so I got a call from the head of content for Gray Media, and he says, "Hey, I think we're thinking about dressing up for Halloween. What do you think about that?" I said,
Right.
"Fine, I don't care. I'll dress up." He said, "Well, what will you go as?" I just flippantly off the cuff of my head, so I will obviously be a police officer from Reno 911.
Lieutenant Dangle in your short shorts.
Yeah, I will. I'll get shorty shorts. He said, "What is that exactly?" That's why it's shorty shorts, the mustache. It's me being the king of law enforcement who can also pop into a stripper role if needed. Think Village People meets the officers of the law.
Right.
I mean, that type deal. And so he went, "Okay, that sounds good." So I get to the taping last Thursday, and Dave comes in, and the host and the other host said, the other guy on there says, "So I guess we're dressing up for Halloween." And Dave said, No, we don't get to dress up for Halloween. He was going to be Maverick from Top Gun or something stupid like that.
Okay.
He was very excited about it. And he said, "Well, we're not dressing up now." And the guy said, "Well, why not? I heard just yesterday or so we were dressed up." Well, apparently they're selling the show to a couple more big-time advertisers that are very interested. The show's been incredibly well received, especially in the bigger markets. The ratings have been great. He said, "Well, he doesn't know they left the optics of you guys all dressed up. They want to try to keep it consistent." And I said, I could have something to do with that. Because I said I could be something more normal. If they ask me for a costume, I'm going to give them a 10.
Right.
Now, if they want me to be a 5, I'll be a 5, but I'm going to shoot the 10, right?
Absolutely. And especially if you get to decide what the costume is. If they give you like a list of like 3 approved ones and you get to choose, maybe they'd be a little bit more comfortable with that. But you being you, and you being, like we discussed last week, having free time and money on your side could lead to some pretty wild things. So I think being left to your own decision making on a costume might have been enough for them to maybe throw a little bit of caution to the wind.
You can tell that they like the dancing bear,
yeah,
but in the cage. So they open the cage door up, and here I come, and I'm spinning around in my tutu, and I give them some ideas, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Jack, whoa, get back in the cage."
Yeah.
So they like the vibe, but I spend most of my life over their line. There's things we run on the air on the radio that they've shot down first,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely.
and our podcast, I mean, forget about it. I mean, some of the stuff we talk about podcasts, they have no, it wouldn't even make it. They would literally kill over 10.
Right.
So we're having to find out where that sweet spot is of them liking me pushing the limits, but not just jumping off the cliff. So in consequence, I guess we're not dressing up for
the show.
We're not dressing up. So
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I think that just shows your personality. So I think it's a missed opportunity.
I totally agree. Karen, is they're dressing up on News 9. She's dressing up. Guess what she's going to be?
I would think like the Glenda the Good Witch.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Fits her personality.
Yeah.
No, she's going as a Karen. So she's going to be a Karen. So she's going to have her video phone, her clipboard, and her jogging suit, which is kind of funny because
Karen just be all up in everybody's business about everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because she was so the whole Karen, quote unquote, has been so offensive to my wife.
Of course,
because she's the opposite of that.
Yep.
And she will literally tell people. It's like when I go to lunch, and I'll go with lunch with my buddy who we'll split a meal because both of us had weight loss surgery, and I feel inclined to tell the waiter that we are not a couple.
Right. You got to put it out there. No bad optics.
I don't know. I just feel the need, and he gets irritated every time I either will mention that we have had weight loss surgery or that we're not a couple, and I do both pretty much every time because I just feel weird about it. Well, she's the same way. They say a Karen. Karen makes a point to say, "Well, I don't spell it with a K. I spell it with a C." So, like that matters to anybody in the world.
It is a slight differentiation, but it does put a clear divide between you and the stereotype, I guess.
Well, you just ask her. It's everything. It's literally the difference between good and evil. FatJackSports.com. Go get signed up today. Everything through Halloween. We're talking about Halloween. Through Halloween Monday, you can get that for less than $150. Everything longer term is going to save you even more. Do not miss out. Go to FatJackSports.com. Sign up today and win this weekend. Let's give away a free winner. Brandon, anything college jump out at you want to talk about?
I mean, we got some big ones this weekend. You got Ohio State and Penn State. Tennessee has a huge game. Oklahoma State, Kansas State this weekend. A lot of good stuff in college football. Yeah, Tennessee, Kentucky, I think is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's a bunch of we complain sometimes against our better judgment about the lack of marquee games sometimes, and it ends up being some of the best weeks of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we have some of those games where we look down the schedule, like, I don't know what I want to watch. I'll find 10 that we'll be able to make money betting on. This one, you don't have to look very far. Ohio State, a 14.5 point favorite at Penn State. Penn State looked great against the backup quarterback with Minnesota last week at home during their quote-unquote whiteout.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State up to 16th in the country. What do you think about this, Braden?
Ohio State is the Kansas City Chiefs equivalent for college football. That offense, when operational, is really good. If they have the receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba, that dude can go. CJ Stroud, hell of a player. That offense can absolutely go. Whether they can stop teams is a question, but they're never going to face an offense as good as theirs. And Penn State under James Franklin consistently has been the same thing. Solid defense, but not great. Good offense, but not solid. So I don't see how, unless Ohio State goes into Happy Valley and turns the ball over 4 times, how they can not cover against Penn State.
Yeah, I'm leaning the other. Now, Franklin has been horrible against top 10 teams. 2-13. Yeah, 2-13 their last 15. If you throw out the Big Ten championship against Wisconsin a few years ago, he's literally 1 for. And does not, and he never wins, and I don't know how they're going to win, but I do think there's a lot. I don't know, we know exactly who Ohio State is yet, especially on the road. This is by far the biggest step up in class, and you have to be careful this time of year putting too much into what you've seen or expected to see, and then you've been verified in that because of their competition level. Right. So the reality is, the Big Ten is not the SEC. They're not playing good teams week in and week out. So these few games, these 2, 3, 4 games are huge steps up. In the past, teams like Ohio State and even Michigan, and they've been able to pass those tests. But this, make no mistake about it, if it was at Ohio State, I would say, yeah, Penn State's not good enough, especially with their track record, to get it done. But at home, I think there's some value there because of exactly what you're talking about. Penn State did not look good. Their other top 10 matchup this year, and they look good against inferior competition. I think people will see that, and they'll be more comfortable playing Ohio State, even though it's on the road. I think that's a 10-point game, like 30-20, somewhere in there. So I will take Penn State plus the 14.5 as your first free winner of the day. 800-298-1383. Go to fatjacksports.com. Last Saturday, we absolutely swept the board early. We were at 4-5-0, and then we lost a couple of late, one selection, one opinion, but still a great Saturday. Made a bunch of money on Saturday. The college games during the week have been incredibly good also, and we started out the NFL season so hot. We're so far into profit and due for another big run there. A small losing week this last week just in the NFL on Sunday, but overall, everybody's winning. If you want to make money, it's less than $100 a week. Sign up now and start winning at fatjacksports.com. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk a little about the NFL, a little bit more about college. Who's winning against the spread in college football so far this year? We'll talk about some of the leaders in that and much, much more. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Hey, this is the Fat Jack, and we're ready to fall into some November profit early. It's time to go to fatjacksports.com. If you're betting the games, the NBA's off to a great start. College hoops start next week. Football's going unbelievably well, and the baseball playoffs have added 16 games of profit for free over the last 2 weeks. Get just this weekend before Halloween for less than $150, or save on those long-term packages for less than $100 a week. Make money betting the games. Go to fatjacksports.com to win. fatjacksports.com.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds, and get primed for more profit every week with Bets and Breakfast, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. only on YouTube. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube. Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, a man who is a treat. He's the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Very excited about the weekend. Halloween weekend. We're wrapping up October. Is the year going fast for you, Brandon, or slow? Where are you at this year?
You know, I kind of feel as if that it's been both at times. There's been moments where you think we are into week 9 of the show this year, which means we are into week number 8 or 9 of college football. That is kind of concerning, considering we only get 12 or 13 games a year as it is in college football anyways. But then knowing that we have football stuff all the way through February, it still doesn't seem like it's gone that slow. But it feels like a little bit of both at times. Just kind of depends on your mood and how you look at things. If it's a glass half full, glass half empty type thing.
You know, as weird as that sounds, I would agree. I mean, there are times I look up, and having nothing to do with football, because we make as much money after the regular season in football as we do during the regular season. December is almost
season, playoffs.
Yeah, it's almost always one of our most profitable months is December. So I'm not concerned about it. I get a little sad after the Super Bowl simply because there's so much money that comes into my account based on the games and us winning and stuff, that after that, you're like, okay, well, it'll just be basketball for a little bit. And then luckily baseball starts up in April. So we make a ton of money in the games in February and March also, but between now and then, it's just totally profit, and it's consistent. And guys that miss out, it's funny. I told my wife last night, I'll be happy. I guess I'm never going to get to the point, but I would be happy if I would get to the point where I didn't ride every single emotion through the course of the year on every season. So like right now, the first of the year, I'm super excited about things. Guys are getting signed up. Everybody's happy. And then we start out, we're super hot. Everybody's making a lot of money. Everybody's having a great time. I take satisfaction in that. I take a lot of pride in that not only because I could just do this myself. I mean, I'm in Vegas anyway. I could just bet the games and be perfectly happy. But it is really nice for me to know that there are guys out there that are making money betting on sports for the first time in their life, a lot of them. And that's what's going on. The problem is all of those new guys, they go back to their lives and they keep winning money and they're happy. But then you get the new guys come on who are distressed. they have made bad choices for the last month and a half. And so their mood, their vibe, as the kids call it, not near as nice, not near as happy. And their desperation level's higher.
And it just kind of infiltrates because you kind of sense that desperation.
I do. And I should not be writing that, because guess who's been betting the game since day one?
Right.
I have. I'm so far into profit, not only this year, but over the last 20 years. I can't even see even. I mean, I don't know where even is. Even moved to Montana because I can't find it. There's no roads where even is. I'm so far up into, so I should be riding that wave all the time, no matter what happens on a given day. But that's the downside of this business. I, for whatever reason, feel the need to make every single person who spends $1 on these picks make money instantly,
Sure.
even if they hadn't been winning for the last whatever weeks on their own. I will say this, Brandon, and it translates into the emails I get. I got another email. We're gonna have email time. I didn't even respond to this one. What's that? No, Alan. I gave 3 free winners out on Twitter and through the service, and all of them swept easily. I mean, it wasn't even close. Kansas City was one. Oregon was one. I forget Thursday. Arizona maybe Thursday night. They all won. So even Alan's happy. Alan didn't sign up, but he's happy. He won't complain because he's however he gets free winners.
He won with the free winners.
Yeah, it's crickets when they win. They sweep the board. Nobody says a word. I lose one. They're, oh my God, great free winner, Jack. It's done. So I don't even care about that. This one here was interesting. This is from an actual client who I didn't look, but I'm assuming is late to the party. This is on Saturday after we ran off a 4-5-0 start on Saturday. 1, 2, 3, 4-0 start on Saturday. This guy texts me or emails me, actually reached out on Instagram, even dumber because I don't read that. I had to have somebody else tell me you got a message on Instagram. Please don't bet on Oklahoma State anymore. They're really good against the spread or something to that effect. Brandon, a couple things. Number one, this is not Russia.
Sure. Now, you pay for the service and you want to, obviously this person knows that you win, so he bets what you tell him to bet.
He's 4-5-0 going into the evening game when he decided to get up irritated. Well, not even irritated, just he was nice about it. It wasn't like he was yelling. But to reach out and then it's like I'm Rick Dees or Casey, like I'm a request line. Please don't bet on those so-and-so. They're really, this is not Russia. Guys, if you don't want to bet on against Oklahoma State, don't bet against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, if you put out Texas -7 and you're an Oklahoma State fan or you have a stronger feeling about Oklahoma State's going to win that game, hey, the service is a guide.
It's not Russia.
Possible. Right.
It's not Russia. That's the easiest way. Nobody is making you do anything. Now, I will tell you, if you go on bet on your own, that's how you're into this problem. Because you're betting your own stuff, you're betting on who you like, who you don't. That should not matter to you. I'm going to bet on the games that lead me to the most profit. That's the only thing I'm doing. I want the most profit. I'm finding the games that lead me to the most profit. And if that is betting against a team that did not have a top 5 ranked offense or defense, a team that is being outgained in every single game this year, and is playing another team that has been outgaining their opponents and has very good weapons at the skill position, then that's exactly who I'm going to bet on and who I'm then going to send out to all my clients. And if it's wrong, then I'm going to shrug my shoulders and say, well, it's wrong. I used the right formula to get to that team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bet. I don't care where you live or who you like. I'm not concerned about that. I have clients every time I release against Dallas, Oklahoma, Green Bay, Kansas City, the Rams, the Raiders, the Giants, the Jets. I have somebody who is mad about that in every city until they win.
And that's honestly how a bunch of other handicappers that are out there who don't do things the right way operate. They'll be like, oh, well, this person is a fan of the Tennessee Titans. So guess what? If we're going to release a game, we're going to say, hey, bet on Tennessee because we want to pander to what you want.
Misery loves company. It makes it to where they don't have to win, because if they lose, you're sitting there and you're saying, well, I thought they were going to win too.
And they should have won. They should have won.
Yeah. So I really can't blame it on him. I don't care who you want to win. Right. I don't care. It's not important to me. I'm okay with you being upset. You should understand that by the way, I'm at the size now where every single team, I'm going to upset somebody. There's not a right side to most games, so it would be difficult for me to duck. I guess I could release against Jacksonville or whoever, somebody like that. That I don't have a ton of clients in Jacksonville, Florida, so I could piss off the 12 people who already think Jacksonville's not very good.
Yeah, we figured it out. Every game you release now is going to be against the Utah Jazz because no one
exactly.
in Utah is betting.
Yeah, nobody in Utah is Hawaii. I could release the Lobos,
Right.
But yeah, but that's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is give everybody, including myself, the best opportunity to win, and then if it loses, I'm going to be okay with that. So I'm not a request line. I'm not Rick Dees. If you want the best place, text to your cell phone or email to you. Go to fatjacksports.com, and always remember that my service is out of Oklahoma, not Russia. So you do not have to bet on anything if you don't want to. Now, if you want to make the most money, you will. You'll sign up. You'll follow the system. Go to the questions tab. I have to say that over and over again, too. Go to the questions tab. Baseball's not rated the same as football. Selections are not the same as opinions. Basketball's not the same. Horse racing is not all treated the same. Go to fatjacksports.com. Click on the questions tab. When you sign up, you'll get a recommended betting guide that gives you all that information. But don't go out on your own. Don't go rogue. Don't be Maverick from Top Gun.
Don't be Goose from Top Gun.
Don't be Goose. Yeah, who was Tom Cruise? He was Maverick,
He was
right?
Maverick, yeah.
Yeah, don't be Maverick. Maverick was the flyby, giving the flybys, killing his partner, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not for it. I'm just saying what the movie said. Let's look a little bit deeper. Oklahoma and Iowa State. Brandon, what do you think of this one? This is an interesting game to me. Iowa State, a 1.5 down to a 1.5 point favorite over the Oklahoma Sooners, and the total is 55.5. What do you think about this one?
I think that Iowa State really kind of peaked a few years ago and have been living off reputation for quite a while. You look at what they've done as a whole over the last maybe 2 to 3 years, and it has not been the Iowa State that we experienced in 2018, 2019. Matt Campbell probably should have taken a different job because he had offers, but he decided to stay at Iowa State, and now they don't necessarily have the talent or the all the dominoes falling their way, and it's kind of come up and bit them a little bit.
You just can't miss on recruits.
No,
when you're at Iowa State, you can when you're at Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. When you are a blue blood, when you have, if you can get by with that, but if you have a bunch of 2 and 3 stars that don't try hard, or a bunch of tryhards that are 0 stars, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's where they are. Their talent levels dropped off. So now they get Oklahoma Sooner team that transfer portal. Let me just quickly go over for those around the country. And by the way, I've done a lot of thinking about the transfer portal, and I've almost decided it is a good thing. It makes it really difficult on certain years for certain teams, especially when they lose their coach. But overall, I don't think it's a bad idea. And here's why. If a guy is sitting behind somebody at Alabama or at Georgia or at Michigan, and they're not getting time, and they are the type that they're selfish enough to not want to sit behind somebody they want to start, that player, instead of sitting behind somebody who thought he was good enough to start at Alabama or thought he was going to start at Georgia, he now realizes he's not, but he is good enough to start South Carolina, or he is good enough to start at Tulsa or wherever.
I would say more Power 5 than the group, than the rest, but yes.
You're right. And so those guys are able to then reconsider their decision that they made. We talked about last week, making decisions at 18, 19 are not great times to make lifelong decisions. This allows them to kind of get a redo. As a theory, I don't love it because I grew up in a year when, age when Oklahoma had unlimited scholarships. Nebraska had, more walk-ons that were 5 stars than most teams had, because they didn't have scholarship limitations. And that was the world I kind of grew up in college football. And the loyalty that came with that was admirable to people. But I get the idea, having played and having kids that have played, in feeling like you made the wrong choice for you, either based on a coaching change or they don't evaluate your talent properly. Coaches are arrogant. So if they think they missed on you when you're a sophomore, they're probably not going to turn. They're looking for the new greatest thing. They're not looking to start the older kid who they thought was, it wasn't as good as they thought when they recruited him. So that guy being able to go and spread out his talent and start immediately, and we see that all over with quarterbacks. West Virginia's got a quarterback that has a lot of them have traveled the country before they settled someplace that they're starting. It isn't going to help the top end schools, but it's going to help the middle end schools because they're getting better people on campus who may have, been more highly recruited they couldn't get when they were freshmen.
Yep, and to your point, there's a lot of kids who feel like, and when they get to those new spots, it's one of two things. It's like they either feel spurned because they think they're better than the guy they lost a position to out of Georgia or in Alabama. They go to the new place and dominate, or they feel like they got slighted at the upper echelon school, go somewhere else, and then just think, oh, I can freeload now because I'm the best guy here, and then they end up not performing there.
Yeah, always going to be bad examples of how not to behave, but I think that freedom is going to give more balance of power in college football. By the way, Oklahoma, for those of you who think Oklahoma should be great, before I give this free winner out, since 2018, they had 106 commits and transfer signed, and then went into the 34 of them have transferred out. 9 of them went pro. 6 ran out of eligibility. 2 retired. 4 were dismissed. 1's no longer with the team. 29 are currently on the 2-man depth chart, and 31 are currently below the 2. So of the 108 players, they approximately have half of the players they were recruiting in 2018 when they were getting their pick of athletes. They basically have half on campus, and only a third of them are in the 2-deep depth chart. So the turnover is real. It takes time, but they are getting it together, at least when they have their quarterback offensively. Oklahoma 18-2 straight up their last 20 in the series against Iowa State. This team does not lose to Iowa State hardly ever. They don't cover a lot, but they don't lose that much. 6 of the last 8 Iowa State games have gone under. That's not good for Iowa State, because I do think Oklahoma is going to have success offensively. They're going to need to be able to keep up in a little bit of a track meet. I think that's going to be difficult. If Oklahoma in this, it may have a little bit to do with the recency bias, because I did feel like their game against Kansas kind of got them back on track. I put a lot of faith in this quarterback that they got back. But with all being said, I think Iowa State is way overvalued, even where they are, which is down. So give me Oklahoma minus the points. It's your second free winner of the day. And if they don't win, don't email me, don't call me, don't tell me I thought they were going to circle the wag. I don't want to hear of it. I don't care. It's a free winner. I'm not releasing this game. That's why it's a free winner. 800-298-1383, fatjacksports.com. Get signed up. Everything through the end of November is less than $100 a week if you do it now. So everybody got so fired up about the $99 special that I ran last weekend. I signed up 100 people more that had never been on because they like the $9 special. They're rewarded with winning plays, and some of them I'll never hear from again because they're like, they can't afford more than that. If you want to win for $99, sign up through November. You're gonna it's $5.99 or actually $4.99. So $4.99 there's whole month of November plus this weekend. That's less than $100 a week. Go get signed up today and start making money at fatjacksports.com. College basketball starts next week. Do not wait. If you wait, you're going to pay more for hoops than if you sign up today. You're going to miss the profit that you missed over the last month, and it's only $100 more to get basketball through the end of November. So $4.99 for football, $5.99 football and basketball to get you into profit in both. You cannot beat that. Go get signed up today. Get your text to your cell phone and email to you.
If you're looking for more action this week, Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. With multi-sport prop entries, you can mix and match your action every day from almost anywhere in the country. Sign up with promo code FATJACK and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's $100 when you sign up with promo code FATJACK. Go to prizepicks.com or download the app and sign up with promo code FATJACK to get in on the action today.
Hey, this is the Fat Jack, and we're ready to fall into some November profit early. It's time to go to fatjacksports.com. If you're betting the games, the NBA's off to a great start. College hoops start next week. Football's going unbelievably well, and the baseball playoffs have added 16 games of profit for free over the last 2 weeks. Get just this weekend before Halloween for less than $150, or save on those long-term packages for less than $100 a week. Make money betting the games. Go to fatjacksports.com to win. fatjacksports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time in October, here is our host, the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3, about 8 or 9 minutes left of the show to get you going for the weekend. Hope everybody out there has had a great October. Please be careful over Halloween. There's going to be kids running around in costumes and in the road, and don't run over them. Nobody wins there.
There's also adults out being stupid too. So
of course.
Don't
Some
run over
people,
them either.
yeah, don't run over them either. So just take it slow on Monday night. You know, some shows are 8s or 9. This has been about a 5.
It's been a little sluggish, maybe.
So sluggish. Not all of them can be 10s, Brand. You know, I say that. I mean, not all of them are 10s. I want it to be a 10. I could talk about other things that have nothing to do with the games and bring it up a little bit, but then people are going to say, hey, why don't you just give away free winners and move on about his day? As we head in November, there is a lot to get to. We'll talk about college basketball next week. What are your the NBA is underway, weekend or so. What are your thoughts about that before we get going?
The Lakers are an absolute trash fire. I mean, we've seen the decline of Russell Westbrook. Now he's coming off the bench. It's been a weird spot because he's been a starter his entire life in the NBA, and now he's having to transition to a different role. The rest of that team has LeBron and then a bunch of nobodies. It's a mess. There's some really good teams in the East, I think, but Philadelphia is another team, Jack, that should be a lot better than they have been thus far. And to this point, it's been James Harden who's been putting up numbers, and then Joel Embiid is just kind of floating around. Granted, it's October. There's still 75 games to play, but oof, it's rough early for a bunch of marquee teams.
We have made a bunch of money betting against the marquee teams. We played Toronto on Sunday. Lakers have not, or Portland, sorry, not Toronto, Portland on last Sunday. The Lakers had not won a game. And everybody will say and think, well, gosh, they've got to win. You know, they don't have to win. They can be Oklahoma City or Utah. They don't have to win. I mean, no team's going to show up and say, oh my gosh, it's LeBron and let Russell Westbrook. They've got to win. That's not a thing. So a lot of times, especially early in the season, you can take advantage of betting against the public, who the public wants to win or who they think should win, because you're getting value on the other side. By the way, Portland beat them straight up as a 4-point underdog. What was funny about that game is that the Lakers were up 1 or 2 with about 28 seconds to go. And so I hadn't flipped over. I was watching football, but I'm watching the updates, and the next update, the Lakers have the ball. It must have been about 35 seconds because they weren't in foul mode yet. I was covering the number, but the Lakers had the ball. So I'm thinking, okay, here's the problem. You start going through the scenarios. They foul, they go down. Now it's 3. Then Portland goes back down, misses a foul late. You end up not covering. You start doing that stuff in your head. But the next update I saw as I go through this is Westbrook misses a 16-point foot jumper. I literally started laughing. There's 34 seconds to go. And in all of his infinite wisdom, Russell Westbrook decided a 16-foot jump shot was the way to make it go from a 1-point game to a 3-point game. So he has not gotten the memo that he can't shoot.
I mean, he had an 0 for 11 or late last week. That's not good.
He's off the rails, dude. Russell Westbrook is one of those guys, and it's okay. He's been a star his entire life. He is a star or he is nothing. He is not going to be a backup, and he's not going to be somebody that's not the first option. So they either need to trade him to Utah or someplace where he can fire out triple doubles, or they need to sit him on the bench, especially with 34 seconds to go when you're only up 1, because he is not afraid to fire it up. He doesn't care.
Speaking of Utah, undefeated, going into your first 3 games, they trade away so much. They trade away Gobert, they trade away Donovan Mitchell, and then they start the season 3-0. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, well, that's going to even out.
Sure.
I mean,
sure, but
they're not going to keep it up with lesser talent. What you are getting at this point is people playing themselves into game shape, and so they don't show up every single week with the same amount of effort, energy, or intensity, and that's what you're getting. You're getting people taking their exhaling when they're playing Utah, and Utah's like, yeah, don't exhale against us. We're horrible, and we're going to win tonight. Last week in the NFL, the public plays. Did we go over these already? We did, right?
Yeah.
We did. So last week you had more of the same. You had some of the general public getting it done with some of their plays, and then other ones, I know guys were just throwing their hands up. The biggest game of the weekend was that San Francisco Kansas City game. Kansas City was very interesting. There were a lot of sharps on San Francisco, but not us. Where I knew Kansas City was better. I do not. I think Shanahan is one of the most overrated coaches in the league.
You look at what he did with Atlanta, and the year they went to the Super Bowl. Granted, they had an MVP caliber quarterback, probably the best receiver in the game at the time, and a stable of good running backs. Right now, he has a below average quarterback. an absolute weapon at wide receiver, and now they get Christian McCaffrey. If he can maybe figure out how to balance the touches for all those guys, they may be okay. But his play calling and situational play calling is atrocious.
Yeah, and I'm always looking for coaches that I think are either overvalued or undervalued, and he's one of those that I think's overvalued. I love the coaches that come in as offensive juggernauts and then don't put up points. It's one of my favorite things. Like, what happened? Did you all of a sudden forget about how to coach offensive football, or what? San Francisco goes to the Rams this week, where, by the way, good seats still remaining. So if you're a San Francisco fan, you'll be able to lay down in a seat probably. I love LA and Miami. They're so funny. I mean, they have multiple teams in every sport, and they literally don't care. I mean, people in LA are doing anything but caring about football unless they get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They like the Lakers a little bit. They'll go to those games, but for the most part, they're at the beach. Same way with Miami. Miami, if they're really good, you'll get a bunch of people there. If not, those people are going to the beach. You know,
Best seat after kickoff.
Yeah. The Miami Hurricane, you can lay down in the stands there too. I mean, that's a private school, but they got a bunch of people down there. Nobody goes and watches their games.
How bad are they right now?
They're lost, totally lost. I knew they were going to be lost too. San Francisco at the Rams. San Francisco is an underdog at the Rams. No, sorry, they're a favorite. 1.5 point favorite at the Rams. That's one of those head scratcher lines. I do know that Las Vegas really likes San Francisco. Garoppolo, he typically outperforms the market. 16-4 against the spread. Actually, now 16-5 against the spread as an underdog. So he typically does outperform the market. The Rams have been so inconsistent that I think Vegas does not believe in what they're doing. So I actually like San Francisco here.
Okay.
You're getting a little value after how they looked last week against Kansas City. And Kansas City is one of those teams, they will make you pay. If you don't get something out of every single possession, they will definitely make you pay. The Rams, on the other hand, are averaging only about 18 points a game.
Yeah,
so
Stafford is. I mean, I think he's still banged up, and they don't have an identity outside of getting the ball to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, and that works in high school and in college, and if you're a tight end, I guess it works other places. I'm amazed at how many tight ends are miraculously running wide open in the middle of the field.
Mark Andrews, Dalton Schultz, a lot of those dudes. Yeah.
When that's exactly where they're going to go with the ball. So the Rams, San Francisco has covered 5 in a row when they've been playing the Rams. San Francisco is also 7-1 straight up their last 8 against the Rams. And they don't mind not scoring points. 7 of the last Rams games have gone under the total. 5 of the last 6 in the series have gone under the total. That is the formula for San Francisco beating the Rams in LA. Keep it low, keep it muddy. We'll do more at the end. I trust my offensive in a close, low-scoring game than I do yours. Rams are good in predictable downs and distance, predictable downs. When they can get those front four getting after you, they're going to be good. If you have to stop the run and the pass, it becomes a little more difficult for that defense, and their offense has been inconsistent, to say the least. I'll take San Francisco minus the points at LA is your third free winner of the day. 800-298-1383. Go to fatjacksports.com. Easiest way to get signed up. Plays are text to your cell phone. They're emailed to you. Basketball's here. It's winning. Baseball's 8-4. 18-4 over the last 2 weeks. 18-4. 16 games of profit for free when you sign up for the football and/or football and basketball through at least the weekend. You'll get the first few games of the World Series. NCAA basketball starts next week. Breeders' Cup comes up, I think, next week or the week after. Great time to get signed up. Huge values. Add basketball for about $100 a month when you add it to your football package to be deep into extra profit each and every week. So if you're locked into the podcast, download it, get those updates whenever the new one's out. I had somebody reach out last week, tell me the podcast was not up when it was supposed to be. Thank you for letting us know. Sometimes that happens. We've heard the show. We've watched the show, so when we press download to get it downloaded to all of the different outlets, we think that it's done. And sometimes it's not, but I appreciate that. And if you're a loyal listener to the show, thank you so much for that. I hope these extra winners have been making you a little extra money. We put a little more effort into these than we do the ones on the show. Anybody can turn on the radio and listen to the Dog and Pony Show and all the shenanigans. But if you're tuning into the podcast, you are a true, I don't want to say fan, but true listener, true follower. and I want to try to reward you with that. I appreciate you doing that. So
Absolutely. You've sought us out in the podcast world, or you watched you've gone to YouTube to watch the show. So we feel as if you should be rewarded for your loyalty and your effort.
So today, we're going to reward you with 4 more free winners to hopefully get you into some profit. Brandon, what's your first one?
I'm going to start with the Washington Commanders. Tyler Heineke has been a nice addition to that team ever since he came on board. Without Carson Wentz in the lineup, he's going to miss this weekend's game against the Colts. You know who else is missing? Matt Ryan. He's going to be done. They benched him for the rest of the year. Sam Ellinger going to get the starting for the Colts. They're going to be good in spurts. Not good enough. I think Washington is capable of beating a badly coached football team. And I think that's what the Colts are. And I really don't think Ellinger at the next level is going to be that guy.
Yeah, probably not. It's a tough ask. And Washington's defense, what's been keeping him in games? I mean, they've been able to hold down, at least some pretty good quarterbacks. We talked about the antics and the things going on in Green Bay, but they definitely, with their defense, have kept them around. I talked during the show that we received an email. I received an email saying, "Don't play against Oklahoma State." My first free winner, Kansas State. Pick them against Oklahoma State Cowboys. Still the most overrated team in the country. I don't care if you're a Cowboy fan. I don't care if you love them. I don't care if you hate them. It makes me no difference. I lead where the handicapping takes me. Kansas State, even with their quarterback situation now, that last game you can throw out. I mean, they literally didn't have their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're back home. Oklahoma State's covered 5 in a row on the road. Kansas State has covered 4 of their last 5 games at home. This is an evenly matched game. One team has been giving up more yards than they've been generating, and the other one needs a big offensive performance to beat most pretty good teams, and I think that's what they get here. Give me Kansas State as a pick over OSU.
That is so on brand for you. I can't even explain it. God,
if you want me to like OSU, tell me to always or never play OSU, and then I'll play OSU.
I saw a study online that was talking about how we need to better educate our kids, or at least tell them, hey, don't touch that. It's hot. Instead of telling them what not to do, to give them an alternative. So that's exactly what you've done. Be like, oh, you're going to tell me to do this? No, instead, bam, going to do the other thing.
That's right. Soak it in.
Second pick for me this week is going to be the Buffalo Bills hosting the Green Bay Packers. I actually like the first half number just because the Packers start so slowly on offense that the Bills at home, they are a fine-tuned machine. Now coming off a bye week, I think they're just going to come out fired and ready to go. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't start to turn things around here pretty soon, there might be some that are saying, hey, let's bench the 2-time MVP for Jordan Love because it can't get any worse.
That would make it worse. Rodgers might not show up.
That's true.
If he got benched, you're probably going to need to put him on the IR or something, or trade him and then get some backups.
The trade deadline's coming, so I mean, there's going to be some wild stuff coming in the next week or so.
That's the move. If you want to get rid of Rodgers and do that move, if you chalk it up to the season, which I don't think is the worst idea you've ever had or they've ever had. It's clearly a long way from being right. They look like they're a rebuilding team with a great quarterback. I mean, that's what it looks like. I mean, they remind me a lot of some of those teams that are taking the next step or looking to take the next step, but they've got all their money tied up in a superstar quarterback, so we expect so much more.
And when you see a team playing like this, it feels like the missing piece is the quarterback, and that's not the case for Green Bay.
Yeah, no, this is the opposite. They have a bunch of guys that are new to the league, that are no name, that are going to probably get better, but they need more cap space and more drafts, and I think it is probably time for him to go. Benching him, I mean, my gosh, I don't even want to know. And this show runs in Milwaukee and Madison, all over Wisconsin, so a lot of different changing of the guard going on up there for sure. Last one, let's look at the Dolphins going to Detroit. I thought the Detroit put up a pretty good effort, really good defensive effort. We had under in that game against Dallas. And I think Dallas is pretty good, especially at home. Now Detroit goes back home. They get the Dolphins that still are having some injury things. And Tua is not afraid to throw it to the other team some. He lets the ball go, and you're not always sure where it's going to go. I think this is upset alert. I think the Detroit, now that everybody's gotten off that bandwagon, there are plenty of seats available. I think Detroit's probably the right side of this game. Give me the Lions plus the 3.5 at home. Guys, have a great week. Wager responsibly. Thanks for tuning into the podcast portion of the show. We'll be back with you next week. Be sure and tune in to Breakfast and Bets on Sunday. Follow us on all of the social media outlets at Fat Jack Sports for free winners and much, much more. Have a great week. Until next week, this has been Fat Jack Sports Hour.